Signs of the Southland, Sunday, July 14th, 2024. Welcome to another edition of your favorite Georgia Tech numbers and words. My name is Akshay, and joining me on this muggy, humid, hot, steamy Atlanta afternoon to evening are none other than Jack Purdy and Jake Grant. How are you doing today, gentlemen?
We got to hang
Doing
out
all right.
over this weekend, which was fun. The
Yeah.
not frequently enough IRL hangout, but it was lovely with us three and some other expanded family members from the Rumble seat, which was super
The
cool. So
expanded from the Rumble Seat extended universe. You
yes,
know, it's
yes.
like it's like the Star Wars books that are now not canon anymore because of Disney.
Are, are you trying to imply certain writers and contributors are not canon from the Rumble seat?
They're not canon to the podcast. How about that?
Okay,
Until
fair.
they show up and make a guest
They
appearance or
have
something?
the chances.
Exactly.
They can still be canon. We just haven't found the right slot for them.
Exactly. When
They
the
haven't been
character
canonized?
It's
Ooh,
no,
that's an interesting
they are not They are
when
not Scions canon. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
when
Um,
Glub Biro from the Star Wars extended universe makes an appearance in the next Jedi film, that's when you know that he's back in canon. It's the
you
exact
guys
same
are
principle.
way above my head on this one, but this is my lack of Star Wars lore knowledge. I will say I did also take Akshay to the driving range today, and it was not
Hey,
unsuccessful. So really
that's
a
good.
solid weekend
That's good.
all together.
I mean, look, if we're going to talk about it, I have learned that I have a very, very promising career in shallow ground excavation, you know.
Yes. There you go. There you go.
So I'm very proud of that. Other happy news to talk about as well. The EA College Football 25 video game is out at the end of this week on Friday officially. If you have early access via buying the deluxe edition, that'll be unlocked for you tomorrow night or the next day. It's very unclear.
It's
EA has a
somewhere.
couple of
It's
different dates
$30 more for extra access, which is
for
just
three
like
days of access. Um, if you have been waiting long enough for this game to where $10 per extra day of access is worth it to you, go forth and feel free to invest in that. We'll leave that up to your own prerogative. But Jack, I believe at the weekend you will be doing some live streaming back
yeah.
on our Twitch channel. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Technically it's my Twitch channel, but I just kind of rebranded it to make it look like ours because that was easy enough to do with the logos and things like that. But yes, I believe me and Nishant are gonna try and play some games together over the
Hmm.
weekend. So I know we talked about that in the past. Jackson Caudell might be making an appearance as well. And then whoever else from the staff feels like showing up, or friends or whatever. I don't know. I'm just gonna play a lot of NCAA, put it on. Hopefully I get my microphone working. I think one game I'm definitely going to do is going to set it to easy mode. I'm going to put a game in Bobby Dodd. I'm going to play a sec. We're going to play against Georgia. I'm going to set it to 15-minute quarters, and we're going to see how many points we can rack up on Georgia in a 15-minute easy mode, and see if we can beat the Cumberland score. I think we can, but I just
You
want to.
got to have some challenges, like that has to be a challenge, and you got to run up the score. You got to do some other like
That's the
tier
thing. Is
related
like
challenges as well.
not to go
We
too
can make
deep.
this happen.
Not to go too deep, but my I tend to like my video gaming to be relaxing. So I never like got super skilled at like games like this. I played on lesser difficulty modes just to pass time and relax my brain. So I'm not like advanced to like do the hardcore challenges that true gamers are. But yeah, no, I think we'll do something like that. That'll be fun. At least the Georgia score, at least the beat the Cumberland score, and see what else we think of. And I'll just lose to whoever plays me probably.
That sounds like Jake's experience whenever he's played the NCAA 14 in my place. So I think
Okay, that's like not even fair. I barely play video. I play Civ and I play Minecraft. Those do not really translate to
No, those are not. Those are not,
the
that's not.
gamer
That's
skills.
That's not running Wake Forest's slow mesh, which is in the game. The videos of Wake Forest's slow mesh are, dare I say,
they're
football
actually
sexy.
very cool. They're
Yeah,
very cool. I think these guys have done a great job
yeah.
with the game, and I'll get my hands on it at the weekend and see what I can do. Hopefully, I mean, probably not a lot because I'm not good at video games either. But
We
it
j-
is what it is. One of the video games that also went away when NCAA 14 went away was the college basketball video game. And speaking of college basketball, we have some updates from the wide world of Georgia Tech men's college basketball. 2024 commit Cole Kirouac is now reclassifying to the 2025 class. He'll be spending the 24-25 season at local establishment Overtime Elite in Atlantic Station. Gentlemen, this is I guess like the third or fourth Overtime Elite recruit technically that Tech has gotten. What do you think the relationship is like here? Does this make Overtime Elite sort of a triple A situation?
And before we get into that, I did want to note because you made a great point when we were discussing this before we launched into it of like, should we be worried? Do we think he's going in the draft? Things like that. I do want to put that out there first. He did average just about 13 minutes and 2.7 points per game per Chad Bishop, I guess per Max Preps via Chad Bishop earlier today. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a draft flight risk, but the fact that Georgia Tech seems to have a plug and play option 4 blocks up the street. I don't know how many other schools are leveraging something kind of like this right now. I asked that without any rhetorical answer behind
Yeah.
that, but it certainly seems useful if they can kind of do this on the fly. Like we're a month from school starting, guys.
Yeah, no, I think that was part of what I think we understood, at least as fans, and I think the school obviously started to understand. Like, you have one of the best recruiting area, like hotbeds, and like Atlanta's itself already a recruiting hotbed, but then like a super localized version of all of that, where they kind of can pull in all the best players from the city that's just up the
Hmm.
street from you. Like, we knew like we have to take advantage of that, and we've started to take advantage of that. Um, and so yeah, the AAA version analogy I think kind of works in that I wouldn't say because you could say kids get drafted at overtime elite. Like they just don't really do
Yeah.
college. They do overtime elite kind of as their college situation. So I think the way to think about this is not that Cole is like on track to get drafted or anything like that. And here's why. I'm going to read. This is Damon Stoudemire's quote from in a November press release. He said, "Not putting any cap on him, but his best basketball is down the road. The way we like to play offensively, he's going to be really good. Defensively, he can block shots and defend really well. The biggest thing for us and Cole is to make sure he keeps getting stronger." Which I want to emphasize the keep getting stronger part. What I'm reading into this here is that if you can develop him without using a roster spot, but still keep a close
Yep.
eye on him physically, like literally physically keep a close eye on him and just walk up to his games and to his practices and be involved in his development, that's a much more efficient use of space and scholarships than just having him ride the bench for a year and not actually play or redshirt or something like that. Like you have roster flexibility it would at when you really need as much as you can with NIL and all the crazy stuff happening right now in transfer portal. So ultimately, yeah, this does feel like we've optioned him to AAA. He'll be back in a year. When he's a little bit stronger, a little bit more experienced, and we've got in our 2025 recruiting class with Akai Fleming and Brandon Stores is awesome, and Akai Fleming is from Overtime Bleak as well. So like it is I guess there's kind of an alignment thing happening here. I don't really know, but it definitely is a this makes sense to let a guy get better without coming at the expense of Georgia Tech winning losses.
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship, right? We'll kind of see how this evolves. I mean,
This is year
this
one of it
will,
truly like going somewhere. Like this will be like Cole Kerouac is going to be kind of the guinea pig. Does this process work for Tech specifically?
yeah. I think the main thing that needs to be established in this relationship here is making sure that Overtime Elite doesn't play in a shed. I just have a very like visceral problem with the fact that
It
they play
looks a
in a
lot
shed.
better on the
But
inside.
yeah, I've heard from a couple of people that do pay attention to basketball a lot more than I do, and are very plugged in. That it's very cheap and very easy to go watch like top 10 draft picks at
Yeah,
Overtime Elite and
yeah,
evaluate them right there in your backyard. And if Tech can sort of draft off of that and develop these guys, um, or have these guys develop off site, basically. It's kind of the principle of why the NFL doesn't have an academy system. Someone else is doing it for free.
hmm hmm
So everyone wins, especially if Cole is successful. So it's an interesting partnership, and we'll see how that evolves. Moving forward in our write up here, softball news. Devin Boland has been promoted to assistant coach and hitting coach for Georgia Tech softball after the departure of Hunter Bunch to UT Arlington last week. So congrats to him. Jack, you got a little bit more color on this.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that Devin was really good at in working alongside Hunter with was really talking about the numbers and trying to find edges from the number side that Devin then, or that Hunter, excuse me, then put into practice in terms
Yeah.
of form and swing plane and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Devin was, yeah, at the, a lot of the analytics stuff they made as a team they made a lot of improvements to the resources they were using and how they were using data and how it to work through their process of immediate post game, pre game, all that kind of stuff. So he clearly made a big dent. The team was quick to praise how impactful he was when I asked about this past week. So yeah, I think all things considered, this is great. This is a lot more of the same. I think is best way to think about this with Devin. Hunter was in no way like a retract, like taking things away. I mentioned last week, like he was awesome. Like he did fundamentally fix a lot of things when it came to the physical swings of our players this past year. And with him and Devin, it worked pretty well together. In terms of like things that gonna last a little bit longer, Devin I think was the bigger priority here, clearly for the team because he's still with the team and has a higher job now. They'll still hire somebody else soon, just because they need to fill out the coaching staff with Hunter being gone. They have a void, use it. More voice in the room usually okay. So especially when you only have four coaches on a team as you do with softball. So yeah, no, a lot of good here. A lot of good here. I'm really excited to see how Devin. Maybe I'll try to talk with Devin at some point. He seems important. He seems important.
I would love to get him on here, especially after we spent the spring and you know a great interview with Hunter Bunch, outgoing hitting coach, and crediting that improvement to him. I want to dive full throated into
Yeah, yeah,
these analytics because I think that's obviously the name of the game here, and if that is something that he hopefully can keep up it combined with his new role, I think that bodes pretty well given
yep,
those underlying numbers did have some nice show to him last year. So
yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about construction. We touched on NCAA or CFB 25, excuse me, earlier in that release later this week. Something that will be in the game, but not in real life, is Section 219 of Bobby Dodd Stadium, or whatever the section is in the upper north
I
deck.
forgot what
That
it was.
was
Yeah,
well, it was over the corner of the Edge building along with a massive chunk of the Edge building. All of that is now gone. It just kind of looks like it's been sliced off of the sides. The game will have those structures rendered in. Obviously, it doesn't have the renovated structures just yet. I don't think Georgia Tech submitted those, but so if you liked that corner of the upper north deck, well, you can relive sitting in it or looking at it or whatever it is that you do in a video game from that perspective.
I guess you could technically kick a really bad field goal into it if you really wanted to. The right wind direction, close enough. Chip
That's
shot
the
it.
truest. That's the truest way to celebrate. It's
Yeah,
passing instead of pouring one out. It's
kick one
shanking a
in.
field goal into
Kick one
that
through.
section.
Yes, yes. No, yeah, it is in there.
Respect.
The edge building is still in the game. So they get all the what was the existing infrastructure on that block is all still there in the game files. So none of that got moved. Rest of campus is still wildly under construction too. It is amazing how much is going on still right now. But
And they have to be done in about a month.
well,
So
Edge is not going to be done. Edge is not going to be
are
done.
they?
But
well,
there's
Edge obviously is like a 3 year project.
right.
Let's not put that cart before the horse. But
They did start doing more sidewalk work on Techwood this past week, and they're actively working on it today. And they don't work every Sunday, at least from what I've noticed. So yeah, they're definitely ramping up the speed to get as much of the pathways done as they can. The cycle track going around campus is not going to be done until April. That much I know, based off the signage on the projects. So that's going to be a lot. But sidewalk wise, they're shooting to get as much done as they can before classes start. And yeah, we're we are a month out from fall classes. So
Yeah, it's the football season and the volleyball season are coming along very, very soon. Uh,
woohoo.
you know
I've
what?
been asking for the volleyball schedule for literally 2 months now. They don't have it. They know they don't have it. They're apologizing to me, but they don't have it yet. It's very annoying. You have to go to other school schedules to find where we're playing. Can't even go. You can't even find it from ourselves.
This is what happens, when you have new ACC rivals like Cal and Stanford and SMU. You got to shake things up, and it just takes time.
That long time
Building these
rivalry with
kinds of
Cal.
rivalries,
Hmm.
building these deep seated historic rivalries with Cal and
Build,
Stanford and SMU.
building these boards, you know. Uh,
But it goes back with Cal. It goes back to 1927 and the Bear
It
and
does.
Stumpy the
28.
Bear. 28. See, you knew what I was talking about.
We need someone to
Too
Wrong.
bring us
close.
stuff. We need
You
someone to
went the
bring us.
wrong way with Roy Regents.
Someone should bring us Stumpy cutouts at the Cal Tech game. Whichever one comes first, bring a Stumpy cutout.
Fair
Somebody
enough.
cut out with a Coke in it. Like, it's got to
Yes.
have the
Yes.
it's got
Yes.
to
Yes.
have the
Yes.
beverage along with it. Now we're getting off topic. Let's take a quick break to get ourselves situated. We'll talk about the 2024 Summer Olympic Games in Paris, France after this. Back in a tick.
Yeah, as always, this podcast is brought to you by Section 103. Section 103 is the best place to get Georgia Tech apparel, as is typical with the summer. Little breaks. Shipping resumes Monday, July 22nd. So do not fret. In the meantime, it's about a week. But as always, when that shipping does resume, there's free shipping over $70 on every purchase. Feel free to use FTRS 10% off. Tell them we sent you. Section103.com and at Section103 on Twitter. Gents, back to you.
Gentlemen, welcome back to Signs of the Southland for Sunday, July 14th. The Olympics in Paris are quickly coming up. I believe they start in just under 11 days. Georgia Tech has a number of representatives for not just Team USA, but for a bunch of different countries around the world. Let's start with one of the three top names on our team sheet here. Let's actually start with Julia Bergman, who you might remember from very successful women's volleyball teams of the past, I don't know, like 6 years. She is now in a pro volleyball in Turkey, plays for Turk Ava Yolaria. I've definitely butchered that, but you sort of get the point. The club was the 13th in their domestic or their local cup,
Nope.
third in the Turkish
Nope.
Cup. Ooh, CEV Cup. What? Tell me more.
That's a bunch of European teams. So 13th with teams from France and Italy and that kind of deal. So bigger deal than you might expect. It's it's a 32 team tournament basically. Italy, Poland, France. In terms of, obviously it's not a first place finish or anything like that, but it's kind of like volleyball Euros, I guess. I don't know if that's overdoing it. You guys are the soccer guys, but
Sure.
yeah,
That's a fair analogy. Fair analogy.
yeah. So
Probably Champions
yeah,
League. If it's the club, then it's Champions League, not Euros. But technicality, I think we're on the right track. Third in the domestic cup within Turkey, and then fourth in the Turkish league proper. So a very successful side. But in terms of national team play for Julia Bergman, obviously she's with Brazil. She joined the Brazilian national team as an outside hitter. Starting her first cap was in 2019, and she's been a regular part of their squad since 2022. Jack, a little bit more. Do you have any more color on Brazil's national team setup
Uh,
and what we expect them to do at the Olympics?
we expect them to medal. They are always good in volleyball, generally in any way, shape, and form. The U.S. did win the last gold medal in women's volleyball indoor specifically, and we've won basically all of a lot of the most recent beach volleyballs with Carrie Walsh Jennings and Misty Ray Trainer and all that. Then that trail of players. But yeah, women's indoor volleyball much more competitive. They're Brazil's generally top five in the world pretty regularly, and Julia is getting real playing time on this team. So she is, while maybe not winning everything in Turkey, Turkey's also a good league. With Brazil, she's going to be surrounded by a much better aggregate team, and they're gonna play hard. That's going to be of the best. Like if there is outside of maybe a couple of guys we're going to mention, Chris and Jose advancing really far, Julia's probably has the best shot of any Olympian we have to actually get a medal, which is really exciting, as long as it's not the expense of the U.S. But that's just my personal slant on that.
Wasn't last year's or last time out's gold medal game versus Brazil?
I think it was.
The
Yeah, we
U.S.
won.
women.
Yeah, the U.S. won. Yeah,
They've traded it back. If I remember my Olympic history correctly, they've traded that gold medal back and forth over the last couple of cycles. So, especially, I think also with the Nations League thrown in there too, they've traded a bunch of top finishes back and forth and back and forth. So,
yeah, it's going to be fun.
If she does win a gold medal, it will inevitably be at the expense of the United States.
Yes.
So that is disappointing. Jake, what you got?
I would like to point out that when I clicked on the link from Julia's Wikipedia page to THY, it redirected to the Turkish Airlines Wikipedia page. And this is how I found out that Turkish Airlines runs a sport club in or near Istanbul. So that's kind of wild. That'd be like Delta running the Braves, I guess, or the Atlanta Vibe or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat. And it must be pretty good competition if she's still getting, caps for Brazil. So should be good. I feel like out of, dare I say, everyone on this list, Julia was kind of the shoe-in or not the shoe-in, but the most expected addition among the folks representing Georgia Tech will be there. Or alumni.
Rest assured, if she was left off of the Brazil squad, this would be a very angry episode about snubs. Georgia Tech snubs from Olympic rosters.
Yeah.
It would have been a fun time. We talked a lot about the U.S. volleyball team when talking about Julia. Let's talk about the U.S. men's tennis team and Chris Eubanks, who is making his Olympic debut with them in Paris. You know Chris Eubanks, you love Chris Eubanks, but Jake, tell us a little bit about his stats from his college days.
Yeah, so before we get into this, the kind of the bookend of the Julia was kind of expected to be there type of thing. With tennis, it's different. The athletes' participation in Paris really depends on the U.S. Olympic Committee selecting their athletes. So of course, it was kind of up to the USOC to get Chris in the mix, but hey, whatever works to get him there. He's currently number 44 in the world, and of course we know him from his time at Tech, an Atlanta kid, went to Westlake, but went 90 and 33 in singles, was a two-time All-American and Player of the Year in his 3 collegiate seasons. He did go pro. I remember writing Yellow Jacket Roundup that fall and being like, certainly Chris will make an appearance here sometime soon. And then in like the middle of October, he was like, actually, I am done. And since then, he's been touring the world, if you will. 2023 was really the breakthrough, though. He kind of had like 5 years in the wilderness. I think it's fair to say that. Kind of just chugging along, not really breaking through. He was first time he crossed in the top 100 in the rankings was just last year. He did peak at number 29, but yeah, had a fairly successful year last year. Made an ATP title run, and then of course everyone has recalled his deep his deep Wimbledon run last year.
I have the remainder of the men's side of the U.S. tennis team here as well. Taylor Fritz, World 12, Tommy Paul, World 13, Chris Eubanks, World 44, Marcos Giron, World 53, and then the doubles, Rajiv Ram and Austin Krajek. That is the 6th doubles and 15th doubles. So a very strong, and I think almost intentionally picked from the ATP rankings, if I remember how this works correctly.
Yeah, there was some talk of Ben Shelton making the team as well, but he opted to not play in the Olympics. So that I don't know if that's what directly correlated Chris getting a spot. But Ben's been higher in the rankings as of late. But he decided to pass. It's a very congested schedule for tennis when it's Olympic year between the French Open and Wimbledon, basically less than a month apart from ends of one to starts of the
It's
other.
crazy.
And
With
then
grass
US
courts. And the U.S. Open circuit starts like right after. Yeah, so it's a very tight. I mean, the golf and tennis have very similar schedules here, and it's a lot when an Olympic year like this.
and I'm sure the going clay, Roland Garros, grass, Wimbledon, back to clay, back in Roland
Yeah,
Garros, and
it's
then
yeah,
hard court is certainly an
that's
adjustment,
part of
right?
it. Yeah,
Those
that's part of it.
are yeah, very different surfaces. Of note, Chris all time is 0-6 on clay this year. It is his worst surface. I appreciate tennislive.net for helping me with the numbers, but he's 33% all time, I guess 9 and 18. So that is 9 of 27 wins on clay. His all time is about 55.5%, which is right in line with his hard and grass results. So should be something to keep an eye out there. And of course, most courts are not clay. They're usually a hard court. So notable that this is the first Olympics on clay since Barcelona 92. So should make for an interesting and different tournament there as well.
This is a sidebar, but do we know what surface the 28 games will be on?
That's in
Those
LA.
definitely
I
hard.
assume it's hard.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard.
Okay. That was this was just out of curiosity because it's not, the US Open that year. It's in LA with
Yeah, I don't know if they're. I haven't looked at the. Oh, you know what? Say something else. Come back to me on this. I have a theory. I want to confirm.
No, I'm going to kill some time here. I've got a fun trivia. I have an article up right now. It's another Turkish Airlines THY, which is also their ICAO abbreviation, which now makes a lot of sense. Anyways, another sport club that they sponsor. Akshay, I want you to guess what sport this is for.
You want me to guess what sport?
Guess what sport? They're apparently the best in Turkey at it.
Handball?
Nope. Think more cerebral.
Chess?
Yes, chess. You too can join the Turkish
crazy.
Airlines Chess Club. There you go.
LA tennis will be at the Carson, California Tennis Center, which I should have known because that's where the CrossFit Games happened years, and I watched all of those that were in LA. Really exciting.
It's at the Home Depot Center? The StubHub Center?
The whatever it's called center, yeah.
The big complex down there.
Dignity Health Sports Park. Yeah. And that's
an old Major League Soccer joke.
Guess what sport will be in the Galaxy Stadium?
Field hockey?
Indoor cycling. That is where the velodrome is going.
They're going to build an indoor velodrome on an outdoor.
I think it'll be outdoor because I know when it was Atlanta in Centennial and when it was at Stone Mountain, it was an outdoor velodrome.
Interesting.
Anyways,
I mean,
who's the next athlete?
It's not like it's going to rain, so outdoor velodrome is probably.
Who's our next athlete?
Let's talk about our next athlete representing not the U.S. proper, but a territory of these United States. Puerto Rico's own Jose Alvarado in men's basketball. We talked last week about how Puerto Rico and Lithuania were facing off in a winner-take-all game to determine who gets the last basketball Olympic bid. Well, rise and shine, it's Puerto Rico. This is the 6th consecutive Olympics that Georgia Tech has had a men's basketball player appear in. Jack, do you want to read these off?
Sure. Dating back to the Athens game, Stephon Marbury, Chris Bosh as part of the Redeem team in 2008 with LeBron and Wade and all those guys. We had a couple Nigerians in Aleida Aminu, who played in the London and Rio games. Josh Okogie recently got a 2-year contract with the Phoenix Suns. And Avi Schaefer played in the 2020/21 games. Avi Schaefer was with Japan, and then Alvarado this year for Puerto Rico. So he's our first Puerto Rican basketball player. Of further lore, Bobby Cremins was an assistant coach during the '96 Olympics. So we're just missing the 2000 games. And we've had someone at every Olympics on a men's basketball squad in some form or fashion since, which is really cool. So, and we had an assistant coach play we had an assistant coach named Mafan Udofia, who was with Nigeria as well during those two games I mentioned. So, yeah, that
And
was.
then and on the women's side, Nell coached
And
the women's
Nell is
national team.
literally the gold medal winner in Sydney. Yeah, so that does. Yeah, we have gone from '96 to now in just basketball as a whole. But yeah, the men specifically, all but one.
Yeah. And I will note on the Puerto Rico side, they have 10 all-time appearances. They have not qualified since '04, so it's been a long time coming. They got sixth in that tournament. The top finish all-time is fourth in Tokyo in 1964. They're 34 and 38 all-time in the Olympics. But, Jens, have you looked at their pool yet, or at least the games that are posted on their national team website?
Yep.
Nope.
It's a little, dare I say, it's a little spooky.
They not making it out of this group. I'm just gonna put it that way. They got to get lucky to get out of this group.
Who else is in it, Jack?
Well, South Sudan probably gonna beat them. A little country called the United States of America, and the reigning MVP, three-time MVP Nikola Jokic's Serbia. So he's got to beat the Serbs, us, to even have a sniffing shot at making it out of the pool. And it is World Cup style, so top two make it out. So yeah, it's going to be hard. They should beat South Sudan, but they legitimately Serbia is going to probably be there. They have to beat Serbia to really hold any candle of making it out. That's it. And all these Americans are pretty used to Jose as well, considering they all play him in the NBA because they play New Orleans. So it's the outlook is not great. This is specifically why I've said Julia's the odds-on favorite to win a medal. It's because Puerto Rico just does not really have a great path even making it out of their group. They make it out of their group in your knockout stage, you never know. The U.S. lost at '04 pretty historically to Puerto Rico, but it's just like this is different.
And we mentioned Jokic, like that Serbia team, they've got Bogdanovic, whereas Jose Alvarado, dare I say, is the keystone of this Puerto Rico team. He is at least as far as my research goes, the only active NBA player on that roster. I know that Devon Reed is with the Memphis Hustle, so some G League level players right there. But it's Jose, their top scorer, and good luck.
Up next, let's talk about swim and dive. Tech has had a very interesting tradition of sending swimmers to the Turkish national team the last couple of cycles. It's fantastic to see Berke Saka returning to the fold for Turkey in the 200 back. This will be his second Olympics. And Tech also has an incoming freshman on the Turkish national team, Elenaz Özdemir, in the 4x200 freestyle relay. That is an incoming freshman who is the 78th overall recruit in the 2024 recruiting class. Jake, anyone else that stands out to you outside of our usual Turkish national contingent?
Yeah, I do think that it is worth noting that among these swimmers, Berke is certainly the most accomplished, at least in his time at Tech so far. Top swimmer, backstroke 200 IM. This is his second Olympics. All of that is very much a known trope. But this is also Tech's record holder in the 200 back. So quite literally one of the best to ever do it at Georgia Tech. Is that a fair way to frame that one? That's kind of a rhetorical question. I think it's totally fair to frame it that way. But all that said, I think the others that stand out is more of just the emphasis on that Turkish and Brazilian recruiting pipeline. Of course, there's a full recruiting class, and we'll talk about them. But Giovanna Reis and Elenaz Özdemir are two of Tech's top-rated incoming recruits. So I'm really eager to see them just getting some time on the national stage. Big races are great, and I don't know. It's tough to kind of judge Imani El Barodi and Ariana Dirtswager. Dirtswager did post times for Tech last year. Just right in the mix on the women's team, pretty pedestrian there. And then Imani, I didn't see any swim cloud times at all. I believe that she's since graduated. but
She has,
we'll
yeah.
we'll be swimming the 100 breast. So
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was
it's
freestyle breaststroke at Tech, so mostly sprint stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
that
her. That was
tracks.
her background.
fun fact.
And,
She's
and
from France.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, swim at American International in Riyadh too. She's been everywhere. I mean, honestly, that might be just a good interview just to
I know. I was
give
about to
you all
say,
the
like, her story might
perspective
be
there.
kind of awesome actually once it's all said and done.
Yeah.
World traveler,
Did I
truly.
miss anything there in terms of the other swimming? I was kind of on the side, just frantically scrolling to see if Burke had a record in anything but the 200 back.
No, I don't think so. And he didn't make it out of the qualifying stage last time, and probably won't again this time. But hopefully, get a little bit further up. It just kind of varies what your competition level is going to be at Olympics because of how qualifying works. It's not straight times for just
The
because of
quote unquote individual events at the Olympics, i.e., swimming, always result in some really interesting,
yeah,
distributions of results and such there. But I mean, like I said, I mean, Dude's been tremendous, a really important part of the tech team the last couple
yeah,
of years. So good on him for getting across there. And maybe they're a little more stacked with distance swimmers because you might think to expect like a Mert Kilovuz somewhere in the mix there too. But
hmm yeah,
we'll take one. That's
yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I think that's about all we have for today. Those are all of our Olympians for Georgia Tech. Any other news and notes before we head off into, I guess, like the 3 days that we'll have next week before the start of the Olympics?
Yeah. Well, the frantic searching on the internet in the midst of the previous segment did yield that there is an indoor velodrome at Dignity Health Sports Park already, but it looks very small. So that's maybe they're doing it inside there. Sorry, just closing some notes there. I don't have any trivia this week, so that's Jake's trivia of the week is Southern
Hey, we did
California.
trivia. We did trivia about Turkish Airlines. We hit some
But
We did,
notes.
we did.
Turkish Airlines Chess Club,
Look, it's
more
an
power
important
to
part
them,
of their
man.
sporting club. You know, I respect it.
Such an
We got some national
interesting.
champions in there for them. Now I'm
Yeah.
very curious.
They
Chess.
literally have like one of every type of field at this sports park. The indoor velodrome, a track, a giant tennis center, the soccer stadium. Looks like netball or handball type courts, tennis courts, basketball, pickleball, soccer. That they've got it all. Sounds like we need to go to Carson.
Everyone there will remind you, or everyone in LA will remind you very clearly that Carson is not LA. So keep that in mind as well.
I did
Thank
say
you,
Carson.
gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. Jake, where can the people find us on the interwebs?
As always, you can find us at fromtherumbleseat.com. That's the best place to find this here podcast and also all the other great content that us and our contributors are putting out. You can email us at fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com if you have any ideas, news, notes, things you want us to discuss. You can find us on Twitter at FTRSblog. I'm at JGrant98. Jack is at Jack Nicholas. You can find Section 103 on Twitter as well at Section 103 or Section103.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at From the Rumble Seat. Jack, where can they find you on Twitch?
I will post the details, but the channel is Jack Nicholas 1, same as my Twitter handle. And I forgot, our football writer Jeff Kramer will be at ACC Media Day for the Jackets Day. So we're gonna have some live coverage from ACC Media Day for I think the first. I don't know if it's the first time in site history we've had that happen, but we're gonna have it. We're gonna have someone there talking with or there for all the interviews and stuff like that. So if you hear this and have anything you want asked, let us know. Well, I'll throw it on Jeff's plate.
Yep.
He will
Email,
be
Twitter.
asking about people's late game execution, especially when it comes to choosing to run out the clock. So we'll
Yes.
keep an eye out for that.
Good to know. And in the meantime, you can find this podcast wherever fine podcasts are otherwise distributed. In the meantime, good night, good luck. See you next week. Go Jackets.